So some important steps. So if ever you have to calculate the cost to like paint or lay down carpet, anything like that, you want to follow these steps, right? Determine surface area or volume to be covered, right? Covered or filled. Determine the surface area, right, or volume to be covered or filled. And I will just say convert units as needed. Okay. So let's say you get some inches here, some feet there. Convert it as needed. Have them all kind of unified. Okay. Second step is determine number of boxes, cans, rolls, etc. required. Round to whole units, right? The idea is that you cannot go to a store and just rip open a box and take some tiles out of it, right? You need to kind of buy the whole box. So when you determine, it ends up being 6.7 boxes that you're needing, obviously you're going to buy 7 boxes, right? So always round to the nearest whole number and don't jump to the cost just yet. Third step, calculate total cost before and after tax. Okay? And to get after tax, right, we're just going to multiply our subtotal by 1.12. Right? We're going to add 12% to that. And those are in general the steps. Mark my words, in grade 12 applied, you're going to have to do the same. In intro to applied and pre-cal, you would have calculated surface areas and volumes of composite shapes, right? You remember that? Like a cylinder stuck to perhaps a cone or a box or something like that. So same idea here. So here is the first example. A room measures. I'm writing small because I want to have some space to work things out yet. So 144 inches by 6 yards, 2 feet. Why would somebody measure a room like that, you might ask? I just do that so that we have an opportunity to do some conversions, right? So it's 144 inches by 6 yards, 2 feet, with 8 foot ceilings, right? With an 8 foot ceiling. So I'm summarizing somewhat so that we have room. Right? You want to repaint the walls and ceiling A room measures 144 by 6 yard 2 feet with 8-foot ceiling. So you want to repaint the walls and the ceiling. You're also installing new carpet. A bit small, right? I apologize for that. I hope you can still get the gist of it. We'll make some bullets here. The new carpet costs $350 per squared yard. One can of paint covers 120 square feet and costs $32.89. A, calculate the total cost of paint if 3 coats are required. We will give both before and after tax on this one. And I'm just going to stop here before I do B and C, so we have some room to actually do the calculations here. So we're painting the room, and we're told that, right, we're painting the walls and the ceiling. Okay? So there's the floor obviously is not going to be painted. So before we do the formula, I will transfer my measurements to some kind of unit that I can use, right? And based on when you look at the cost of paint, we've got what, square feet, right? It's telling us that it covers a certain amount of square feet. So that is my target unit. I don't know if you would agree with me, right? But that's the target unit. So when I look at the measurements of the room itself, I got to do a little bit of looking very colorful, right? But I got to look at those measurements and convert accordingly before I do anything. So let's convert the 144 inches. I'm going to convert that to feet, knowing that 1 foot has 12 inches. And that you should recognize, if you just took IPR, you're pretty good at mental math, right? But right, 144 divided by 12 actually gives you exactly 12 feet. If it had been a decimal, we would have used the decimal equivalent. 6 yards and 2 feet. Right, I'm going to go 6 yards. That reminds me, I need to give you your ACs back. I will do that. 1 yard has 3 feet. Plus, I'm going to add the 2 feet that are already there. Okay, this cancels out. So it's really 6 times 3, which is 18, plus 2, 20 feet. So that was kind of nice there, right? It's nice whole numbers. So we know that the dimensions of this room would be, we can call this length. How about we do that on the side here? I will call this my length. I will call this the width. And I know that the height of this room is 8 feet. That's already given. So far, so good? Okay. All right, so then we're going to figure out the surface area to be painted. Surface area to be painted. We're going to go length times width, which is 12 times 20, right, plus 2 times length times height, plus 2 times width times height, 20 times 8. Remember, the height shows up twice in this. So this would be the 4 walls, and this is your ceiling, right? So let's do some calculating there. That's 240 plus 192 plus 320. And that whole thing, just to save some time, I usually like to work vertical like this, but if you add that all up, you can follow, right? 752. And we are in square feet. But we need 3 codes, right? 3 codes would bring the total surface area to 3 times 752. This has to be done right away. Okay? That'd be 2,256 square feet. It's as if you're painting a room this big, really, because you're making 3 coats, right? 3 runs at it. So this is what you need to paint. So this is basically what I just did here. All of this would be under step 1. I did some converting, then I figured out the surface area to be painted. I need another highlighter. And I will just say, right, the 3 codes, that's where the 3 codes come from. And you probably had amazing teachers in Intro to Applied Pre-Cal, and they did this stuff with you. Maybe, I'm not sure. Some teachers do this in IPR, some don't, right? But this would be a good preparation for grade 12 for sure. Now, what do I need to figure out for next? A lot of students, for some reason, maybe you're not listening to me, they want to go straight to the cost. Don't do it, right? So I will say cans required, right? Cans required. I will do the work here. 1 can covers, what are we at, 120? And therefore, X number of cans will cover 2,256 square feet. A lot of you will just say, well, Mr. Erickson, I know I just have to take this number divided by 120. That's fine. No problem at all. So that would be 2,256 divided by 120. There's technically a times 1 happening, right? This times 1 divided by that. I'm going to use the fancy calculator here. 2256 divided by 120. That's 18.8, which would be approximately 19 cans that are required. That I'm going to just put a little wave under the numbers that are important to us along the way, right? Total surface area, this many cans required. Yikes, right? I hope you have more room than I have. I think most of you write smaller than me, so you'll be fine. Cost, I would go 19 cans, multiply that by 32.89. Let's go before taxes first. And that is 624.91 before tax. And then 624.91 times 1.12. That would be 699. 699.899, right? So that turns to 90. Right? So I'm going to circle this because this would really be right now answering that question if I had asked you after tax. Let me see if I can box things in a little bit to organize them. Right? So we had number of cans, okay, and then we had our cost here, right? Cans, cost, and then obviously we did some converting and surface area to figure out that. If you follow those steps, if you don't jump straight into the cost, you'll be fine. Now we're going to figure out the carpet situation. I need to go over to the next page, so if you need to do the same, go for it. So B, calculate the total cost of installing the new carpet after tax. If you ever, that's the province's standard term, by the way. In grade 12, if it says find the price after tax, it means, right, make sure you include taxes. If it says before taxes, do not worry about adding taxes. So here we go. For the carpet, I still have the writing in front of me here. So it was, I'm just going to make a summary here. It was $3.50 per square yard. It's odd, isn't it, per square yard? I did that on purpose as well. Most stores sell it per square foot or square meter, but you need to be comfortable with the conversion here. This is just a note here, so I will just say area of carpet would simply be length times width, correct? It would just be the floor. And so what was my length again? 12, right? 12, and the width was 20, correct? You'll stop me if I get it wrong, right? So that'd be 240. 240 square feet is what I'm covering. But this isn't square yards. So you need to do some kind of converting here. I'm going to convert this to square yards. Okay? So we're going to go convert to square yards. That's what I'm going to do here. So 240 square feet, I'm going to multiply it by a rate. And this is where I kind of gave you a little bit of a hint already how to do this. The problem is the square, right? I'm going to emphasize that. Okay. So you know that 1 yard has 3 feet, correct? I think you all know that one. If not, now you know. You can't leave it like that, can you? You can't. So you need to take this whole rate and actually square it as well. Now we're talking. Okay? But I will strongly encourage you to show the next step here for now. Okay? That is really the equivalent of saying 1 square foot, and then 3 times 3 is 9, right? So that's 9. Sorry, you caught it, right? This is not supposed to be feet, this is supposed to be yards. And at the bottom, 3 squared is 9. So that's really what you're using in this case to convert. So now you can cancel square feet with square feet, and it's really 240 divided by 9. Okay, 240 divided by 9, it's 26.6667, or all of it. It's up to you. I'm going to use all of it because we can, right? We have our calculators. So the area that needs to be carpeted is this many squared yards. Did that make sense what I just did there? What happened here, right? I want to go from feet to yards, right? So originally I just used that linear rate, but you can't, right? You cannot cancel out a foot with a square foot. Therefore, you need to square this whole ratio, right, to get 1 squared yard, because 1 squared is just 1. And then 3 squared is 9. Feet squared is square feet. Right? And now you can cancel out. So it's 240 times 1 divided by 9, which gives you this many squared yards. Okay. Now we can figure out what the cost is. Okay. Question. Did it tell us that this comes in rolls? It did not tell us that. Per squared yards, though. It does tell us that, right? So price is stated per squared yard. Therefore, I need approximately, we're going to round that to 27, correct? 27 squared yards. That's the assumption when we do, just before we do cost, we're going to round our whatever we need to cover to the nearest whole square yard. Okay? And that's when we're going to figure out the cost. It's 27 squared yards times 350. So we could just skip earlier we had to figure out how many cans, right? We didn't need to do that. We just take our area and just round it to the nearest whole number, right? So it's 27 times 350. That's 94.50. Super cheap, by the way. Carpet is quite a bit more these days. But just focus on the steps, right? So this would have been step 1. All of this. And this is in this case, this is our step 2. We didn't have to figure out how many rolls or anything. We just had to, in this case, just round it right there. So this is step 1, step 2, and this is my step 3. This would be before taxes. Right? 94.50 times 1.12 is after tax. This is actually the number we're after here, so I'm just going to highlight that. That's step 3. So I know measurement is sometimes messy and you might do it slightly differently. I'm okay with that. Okay. All right. C was the grand total, right? C is asking for the grand total. So we're just going to add both answers. So I'm basically going to, let me just skip back. Okay, I need to get that number real quick. 699.90 plus 105.84. So that's 805.74 for this reno. Okay. before I give you the next one, which I want you to try on your own. Okay, you ready? Were there any windows here? Any windows mentioned? Any doors? What would we have done with those windows and doors to the surface area to be painted? I'm talking about this one in particular here. Right? You would subtract, right? You subtract, like I actually would have, when you figure out your surface area to be painted, right? You would subtract the area of any windows that appear and subtract the area of the door, right? And I would take that away here before figuring out how much I need to paint. Even if it says 4, 5, 6 coats, it doesn't matter. Take off, right, the doors and the windows right away. That is the only curveball on the next one here. All right, so I'm going to ask you to write this down. I write a lot bigger than most of my students. So let's see, I'm just going to figure out if there's a blank page in case you run out. Yeah. So if you have room on page 9 still, I think half a page will suffice, right? If you have half a page, you should be just fine. If you have the whole page, you're doing just fine. No worries there. But if you want to start on a different page, page 14 is also blank if you need space. Just make sure you make a note to yourself here, see another example on page 14, right? So that when you study, you can go through this. So I'm going to give you this. I have it typed up already. If you can summarize, that'd be great. Okay. So I'll have this there. I'll do my attendance. If you can leave page 14 blank, that would be great. But do what you need to do to make this work. This would definitely be more than one way of doing things, right? But I'm just going to figure out surface area of the walls, right? It's not including the ceiling, right? Just the walls. So that'd be 2 times length times width. So if I go length, width, and height, right? It'd be 2 times, sorry, not length times width, sorry. 2 times length times height plus 2 times width times height, correct? If you added length and width, you did the ceiling as well, right? So it's going to cost you more. You still get a significant amount of marks, even if you get that wrong ever. I follow through, and so you'll be okay. So this gives you 312 plus 240, a total of 552 square feet if you were to paint everything, including the windows, right? Can't do that, right? So we're going to subtract surface area to be painted. That's what I call that. I will go 552 minus. There's one window that's 4 by 4. There's one window that's 2 by 4. And there's a door that's 2 by 8, correct? You need to take those off. Mrs. Dirksen, can I do that later? You might be in trouble because when you do 2 coats and you subtract one window, one door, you technically need to subtract them twice, right? So I would do it right away. That gives you 552 minus 16 minus 8 minus 16. That gives you 512. That is the square footage that will require some kind of coat of paint on it. Are we good so far? Is that 512? Yeah? Okay, I'm not done yet. So now it gets tricky. How am I going to do this? I'm going to kind of separate it into primer, paint, and flooring. How you did it, I don't really care. But if you do primer, I only need 1 coat, correct? So it's almost like times 1 coat. But I'm just going to go ahead and divide it by what is a can of primer cover? 36 squared. Oh my goodness, right? I can't work that. So I'm going to just do that right here. 36,000 squared inches times 1 foot has 12 inches, right? I'm going to have to square that. So it's really 36,000 squared inches. I hope you got this part. If you have this on your study sheet, right, you can just know that 1 square foot has 144 squared inches, just like you know that 1 yard has 3 feet, right? So you cancel out, it's really 36,000 divided by 144. What does that give me? Where on my paper? I thought I did, yeah, 250, right? I do that on purpose quite often, but not always, right? So I'm usually nice that way. So this is how much this is. You can almost say, well, I don't like that. It's just going to be 250 square feet from now on in my books, right? So one can covers 250. So you can just take the surface area to be painted, and I authorize you to just divide it like that, right? When you divide those two, you get 2.048, which is approximately how many cans are you going to go and buy at the store? You need a little bit extra, right? You need a little bit extra. So it's actually 3 cans required. As soon as it's something a little bit over, you round to the nearest whole number up, right? We always round up when it comes to renovations. So the cost, I won't do the cost just yet. I will do paint. So paint, watch how I do there. You need 2 coats, right? 2 coats of 512. So that is 1,024. That's how much paint I need to cover. So if I figure out cans, I'll just go 1,024 divided by a can of paint covers 350 square feet. Right? So that gives me 2.92, which is approximately 3 cans as well. So same number of cans for both projects so far. And then the flooring, I will do it this way. It's length times width, right? Area would be 13 times 10. So you need 130 square feet to be covered. So for, what does it come in boxes? Yeah. So boxes would be 130 square feet divided by 1 box covers 80 square feet. And that is 1.625, which is approximately 2 boxes that you need. So I just figured out, I did some converting as needed. I figured out area as needed. And then I'm like, I need 3 of these. 3 almost make an itemized list. And now you go into the store. And so for cost, I'm going to go 3 cans of primer times 22.95, right? Plus 3 cans of paint that cost me $35.95, plus 2 boxes of $129. That would not be including taxes, but here we go, $68.85 plus $107.85 plus $258. That gives me a grand total of, not grand total, subtotal of this much before taxes. So 434.70 times 1.12 is 486.86 after tax. Okay. I want to say something though here. It's a very common mistake. Don't feel bad about it. But when it's codes, some students will just take the 512 and divide it by, in this case, let's say paint here, right, 350. You get 2 cans and then you multiply it by 2 again to get 4 cans. The idea is that there is some paint left over after the first coat, right? So you use that leftover paint to start your second coat. So you want to do the coats, you want to apply that to the square footage, get how much you will need to cover in total, then figure out the number of cans. Okay, so there will be slight different answer here depending on how you did it. Okay. And remember, this is all recorded, so if you need to have another go at it, that's just fine. For tomorrow, it's up to you how you want to do this. You want to take a picture of it? You want to write it down right now? You just want to go to the video later? You can do this on page 14 if you'd like. Copy to page 14. I don't know if you're going to have enough time today, to be honest. I will say primer needs 1 coat and paint needs 2 coats, right? That's the only question for tomorrow. The only question. Oh, let me zoom in. Let me zoom in. And I will probably have an AC on this, on something, one question like this tomorrow for you. Is it first thing of the day? So I will make sure there's no breakfast items on there, so you're not. I will post the key to this. Maybe I'll make a little video on it as well. If you like to watch the video, you go for it. Thank you guys. Great audience.